PYP have addressed issues under one common central idea, that is, understanding poverty empowers us to make informed choices. The world is looking for ways to live sustainably. It is interesting to note that sustainability can mean different things to different people. For many years, the term sustainability equated in some people's minds with the environment. People working to protect the planet from pollution, litter, and chemicals while trying to recycle and reduce their overall footprints on the planet. While the environment is an important facet in sustainability, it is not the only facet. Sustainability starts with people. The goal of sustainability is to create a holistic approach to human health, economy, and happiness. A stable and clean environment is an important part of that vision. But equally important are issues like ending poverty, creating dynamic communities, and guaranteeing gender equity. With all of these components, we can guarantee a sustainable planet for current and future generations. Using language as a medium of expression, we have put forward our concerns in hopes to spread awareness about this persisting issue and save our planet from further damage. I thank you all for being a part of this ceremony. I now request our school principal, Mr. Minajarastu, to address the gathering.
Good morning to all the parents and staff members assembled here this morning for our PYP exhibition. I'd like to welcome you all to our campus. We have all gone through a very difficult time because of the pandemic, and it wasn't quite sure what shape the exhibition would have this year, but we're very grateful that the children could have a chance to take part in this exhibition in the true spirit, which involves a great deal of physical interaction with each other and with the people in the public, in the community around us. And it just wouldn't have been the same if we had to do it remotely. So we're very grateful that things are slowly and in certain ways coming back to some kind of a normal life experience for the children. You will come to know, because you're parents of the PYP, you understand a great deal about the approach of the IB and the PYP and how we believe and we understand that children learn. So I would just like to highlight one aspect of this, which is that, as the children said, that this is a culmination of their experience over all these 5 years in the PYP. And the main lesson I think that we as adults and as children are learning or have learned is that knowledge grows much more like a plant than something like a vessel which is to be filled by somebody else. If you keep in mind this analogy that knowledge grows like a plant, then you can understand what we're doing here today, what the children are doing here today. And that is that in a plant or in any living being, there is some seed. Scientifically, we know it as the DNA. There is some force inside of it, which in our case, it is the mind of the child. That is the force. And just like a plant, that DNA, it expresses itself by interacting with the whole environment, the water, the sun, the care of the plant, the gardener or the cultivator. And so in that same way, these children, they are agents, they are people who are interacting with their environment and trying to understand things. And in that way, we can also understand that some of the things that you see here will be very inspiring, interesting, advanced. But some will also be very basic and maybe even wrong. But that's exactly how this whole process happens. And so in this context, I wanted to share, I was just thinking back that when I was in primary school, what did I understand about poverty? And it helped me to appreciate personally, and I think as parents also you might be able to appreciate what these children are going through. They're creating, their knowledge now is a sapling. It's a little baby plant, or it's a slightly advanced plant, but it's not a full-grown fruiting tree or plant yet. And we should respect that and value that because we understand that it's going in a certain direction. So I was just remembering that when I was in primary school, one of the first memories I have of poverty was that I had a classmate, his name was Jeremy, and I remember that he stood out to me because he looked quite different. His hair was always too long and disheveled. His clothes were also a little bit baggy and not very, stylish. shoes were very important. I think for primary kids, I don't know, at that stage for me in the school that I was studying, all these clothes and shoes, they have a great deal of importance for how kids come across to each other. So I always noticed that his shoes were not Nike, Adidas, and other brands. They were some plain, brand. So, these were the things I noticed and which I somehow registered in my mind that this child is not the same as others in the class. Another thing which I noticed was that he was bullied because, maybe because he looked different. He didn't have the same clothes and shoes. So other children felt that this child can be a victim. We can push him around. He will not fight back. Nobody will stand up for him. So he was bullied as well. By middle school, by high school, he disappeared actually in the middle. I understood maybe he dropped out, maybe he moved away. I didn't know quite exactly what happened. At that age, it wasn't clear. But he came back in the older years, and now he was dressed much better. He was involved in sports. He was much more popular, no longer bullied, but more like the star. So some big transformation happened. And I remembered that this is again me, the sapling, as a small child, trying to figure out what happened to this child. And my theory, my understanding was that I had a vague idea that his mother got divorced. He was going through a rough patch in his early years, and his mother remarried. And I don't know any of this. This is all rumor of children talking about what's going on with other children. So we assumed that he got remarried, his mother got remarried. Maybe because of that, family became more stable, more prosperous, and his life changed. So, this is just one example of how this knowledge tree grows in all of us as children. We see something, we ask a question, we wonder, we come up with some theories. The theory may be right or wrong. We go back and we test it out again. We look for more information. I wasn't able to go and test it on this classmate of mine, but the process is there. Asking a question, coming up with a theory, and then going back and seeing if that theory might be true or not. And I also noticed that when I was thinking back to my early years as well, one important factor which I think the kids have also sensed is our attitude towards poverty. The cars and the vehicles that children come and go into school, it's visible to everybody. You can see that so-and-so is being dropped in such and such a vehicle. In my case, the cars that came by, they were of different, again, brands and the sizes and prestige. So I remember, although my family was not poor, but for some reason we had a very old car. The exhaust was giving out lots of smoke one day when my mother came to pick me up. And I remember feeling so embarrassed that my family has this very, rickety car, which is clearly throwing smoke everywhere as if we couldn't repair it and we couldn't take care of it. And we were careless, like other poor families who also have these very old model cars. They overstuff them with 10 people and they don't take care of them. So I felt that awkwardness. And it just shows the kind of attitude which I know I felt at that age. I think that children are going through these things also. They're understanding what's their attitude towards poverty. And it will shape their thought process and what they will learn. At that age, we felt that poverty was something dirty. It was about carelessness. It's embarrassing. All these feelings, they come up. So what's happening is this small sapling of the child. We have these observations, we have these feelings, we have these theories, these ideas about what causes poverty and how to solve it or how to deal with it. And now what we're hoping is that by class 5, the children have many more tools. So you'll see today in their presentations and in their discussions that now they're talking about something more advanced. Their sapling is growing to the next level. They're thinking about the role of education in poverty and how it can help or how it can reinforce poverty. They're thinking about, like in the case of Jeremy, how marriage and divorce can affect a child's level of poverty. Job losses, how transport and housing, if you're living far away from the job, how you might lose the job because you can't pay for transport. The role of government, you'll see the children discuss what the government should do or should not do in this matter. And maybe they'll also be discussing, I know they came to me asking about charity. What should we do about poverty? Is giving the solution, or is there something more? Is there more thought that can be put into how to address this problem of poverty? So anyway, this is a very important experience for the children. It is, again, like I said, not the perfect model of knowledge about poverty. They are not advanced researchers, but their sapling has grown. They have done meaningful questioning. taking action and reflection. And this is a cycle. This thing keeps on turning and turning, and they become more and more knowledgeable, caring, and principled in the process. So it's a very, I'm so happy to have you all here, and I also look forward to interacting with the children. And so thank you all. And I have to, before concluding, I must thank all the mentors of the children who have guided them along this way, the teachers of the Class 5 children who have prepared them with the skills and knowledge, you parents who have also played a role in supporting their work, and last but not least, Ms. Sherbanu and Mrs. Amina for leading the PYP and seeing this to its successful conclusion. Okay, thank you all so much, and welcome again.
Now, without much further ado, let us now begin the performance with a prayer. मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं अता कर दे शाहे करीमी का सदका दिला दे इलाही रहीमी का सदका अता कर दे शाहे करीमी का सदका दिला दे इलाही रहीमी का सदका न मांगेंगे तुझसे तो मांगेंगे किससे तेरे हैं तुझी से दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं मुफलिस है उनको तू दौलत अता कर जो बीमार है उनको सेहत अता कर जो मुफलिस है उनको तू दौलत अता कर जो बीमार है उनको सेहत अता कर जो बेकार है उनको रोजी अता कर गरीबों के खातिर शिफा मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं इलाही हमेशा दो मसरूर रखना बलाओं से हमको सदा दूर रखना इलाही हमेशा दो मसरूर रखना बलाओं से हमको सदा दूर रखना परेशानियां हमको घेरे हुए हैं परेशानियों से पनाह मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं है न मायूस तेरा सवाली नहीं तेरे दर से गया कोई खाली हुआ है न मायूस तेरा सवाली नहीं तेरे दर से गया कोई खाली ये सारे जमा है तेरे ही खातिर सबके लिए हम दुआ मांगते हैं करम मांगते हैं रहम मांगते हैं इलाही तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं, करम मांगते हैं, रहम मांगते हैं। इलाही हम तुझसे दुआ मांगते हैं, करम मांगते हैं। आमीन। अल्लाह हम सब की दुआएं कबूल फरमाए। We hope and pray that we witness a radical transformation in our economy and societies. Technology, entertainment, design. A TED Talk is the most effective way to expose people to an issue that they may not know much about. I now request the audience's attention for a short period of time in an engaging talk on ways in which we can curb hunger. Alvia, Nisa and Zainab will now give a TED speech to spread awareness about their chosen topic. Hello everyone, I'm Sayyida Alvia Zahra. Isn't this how we all introduce ourselves? Clearly omitting the part that we have a sound health and mental peace because we get our meals on time. Well, not everyone is privileged enough to get that. Oxford Dictionary defines hunger as an exhausted condition brought about by prolonged lack of food. We are all fortunate enough to have our own definition of hunger. To us, hunger means skipping a meal when busy or having delayed eating food on time. Despite this, we complain. Hunger is increasing around the world at an alarming rate. People are fighting every day to survive and don't even obtain a meal. Today, I carried a cup along with me. The cup my mother fills up till the brim and donates to the Mutti Fund organization each month. This cup is both a symbol of challenge and hope because one cup of food a day changes a poor child's life completely. I would like to share an interesting fact with you all that this morning about 1 billion people on earth woke up with no idea how to fill this cup. Now, why should we care? For most people, if they think about hunger, they don't need to go far back in their own family history. Maybe in their own lives, their parents' lives or their grandparents' lives to remember an experience of hunger. Some are driven by compassion, feel it's perhaps one of the fundamental acts of humanity. As Gandhi said, to a hungry man, a piece of bread is the face of God. One of the most fundamental acts of civilization is to ensure people can get enough food. In continuation, it saddens me when I hear people say that it's impossible to curb this nightmare. Will we be able to feed a population that will be 9 billion in just a few decades? They ask. Hunger is not a negotiable thing. People have to eat. If we keep ignoring this issue, there's going to be a lot of people who will die of hunger every day. But I came to this issue in a different way. It was a happy Sunday and my family was gathered in a pizzeria. The sitting on the table had one chair less, so I volunteered to sit on the adjacent table. I was enjoying my meal when an image very similar to this came on the television. A hungry boy about my age was waiting for a family to finish dining and leave so he could nibble on the crumbs left behind. It never struck me as it did at that moment, because nothing is more daunting than the face of a child that cannot be returned with food. The most fundamental expectation of every human being, and it was at that moment that I was filled with rage. That actually we know how to fix this problem, yet we seldom make an effort. This isn't one of those rare diseases that we don't have the solution for. We know how to fix hunger. According to research, if a child in the first 1,000 days, that is from birth to 2 years old, does not have adequate nutrition, the damage will be irreversible. Their brains and bodies will be stunted, and this leads a huge impact on the economies. The earning potential of these children will cut in half due to the stunning that happened in the early years. The second thing I'd like to talk about is is to providing easy access to food or as simple as power bars. Children are made to work from dawn to dusk without proper nutrition. A power bar made with chickpeas, dried milk and host of vitamins is a perfect thing what mind needs. It doesn't need to be refrigerated, it doesn't need water which is often lacking, and these type of potential foods have power to control power. Okay. The amazing thing I have found even on a big scale, without a determination of a leader, nothing can change. When a leader says, "Not under my watch," everything begins to change. While preparing for MUN, I came across this fact that France put his food in the center of G20, and that's really important. Here I give you is a challenge. I believe that we are living in a human history time that it's unacceptable to know that children wake up and don't know how to fill their cup of food. Now I want you to draw a line of humanity and say, no more, no hunger anymore. Girls of Zero Hunger Generation will now perform a dance on No Hunger Anymore.
It's really sad to see so many kids without food, and I'm sure you're going to get everyone together and make sure there's zero hunger in our world, right? Let's sing No Hunger Anymore together.
That most people go hungry all day long. One way to curb hunger is to donate, because sharing is caring and there is plenty of food for everyone on this planet. I now request the audience's attention for a short period of time in an engaging talk on child labor. Ammar Murtaza will now give a TED speech to spread awareness about child labor.
A very warm welcome to all the teachers and students present here. I, Ammar Murtaza, am here to present a speech on child labor. A kid is defined as a person who has not reached the age of 14 under the 1986 Child Labor Act. But what is child labor? Child labor, the practice of involving children in economic activities, whether part-time or full-time, is known as child labor. It's a shame to see children working hard all day when they should be in school studying. Children should be in school, they shouldn't be holding tools. Every kid should have seen a divine gift from their family and friends that must be fostered with love and devotion. However, most children are forced to work mostly at industries with a whopping 120 million actively working children, in which 73 million of these children are under the age of 10. Don't you think that's too young for any children to work? The country with the most cases of child labor is Africa, with 72.1 million cases of child labor, in which 31.5 million of these children are doing hazardous work such as working in gold mines, handling explosives, or weightlifting and etc. This isn't good. In fact, it's terrible because the children are doing work against their own will. Even children have rights, the 4 basic rights. They are the right to education, the right to survival, the right to development, and the right to protection. Sometimes parents make their children do stuff like sell drugs, sell cigarettes, and even beg. Many children come home bullied and beaten up every day just because of begging. Even I once experienced child labor in action. It was a dark and cold night when I was walking home. I saw a bread shop. The bread shop was closed, but I could hear people inside. I peeked through the window and saw a man aggressively hitting a child. He was screaming, "Forgive me," repeatedly, but the man continued to hit him. I felt bad, but I couldn't do anything. So what can we do to stop child labor? We can report. By reporting to the police, many children are being saved from child labor daily. The number for the child helpline is 1098 or 1098. So I request everybody present here to try their best to stop child labor. Education is right, so against child labor we must fight. Thank you.
నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెరితో సాలిరు వాలు దున్నినయ్యో నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెరితో సాలిరు వాలు దున్నినయ్యో నలు కన్నా వాళ్ళకు వేడేటప్పుడు దూరమయాను దూరవారి ఎలా కోటం కదికి చేరువయాను నలు కన్నా వాళ్ళకు వేడేటప్పుడు దూరమయాను దూరవారి ఎలా కోటం కదికి చేరువయాను మురుమురుల కొరట 30 ఏళ్లతోనే సన్నదయ్యో మురుమురుల కొరట 30 ఏళ్లతోనే సన్నదయ్యో దిక్కు దిక్కు నాలుగులెలత కాలకు గుచ్చిన ములయ్యో కాలకు గుచ్చిన ములయ్యో నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెదితో సాలేరు వాళ్ళు దున్నినయ్యో నా సంకన మెదితో సాలేరు వాళ్ళు దున్నినయ్యో వెలుగుపోయి చిక్కకి కమ్మినప్పుడు ఇంటికి పోతాను మా అమ్మ రాకముండే నిద్రపోతాను వెలుగుపోయి చిక్కటి కమ్మినప్పుడు ఇంటికి పోతాను మా అమ్మ రాకముండే నిద్రపోతాను సుఖగుకిన జాముకు ఎడ్ల కుట్టం సూరు కడుంతా సుఖగుకిన జాముకు ఎడ్ల కుట్టం సూరు కడుంతా తెల వెలుగులు వచ్చేటప్పుడు నీలబావి కడుంతా నీలబావి కడుంతా నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్నినయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్నినయ్యో ఎత్తాలని బరువులు మోసి చెట్టులు నొప్పి పెడుంటే మాటి మాటి మాదికి దొరసాని రోకాలి పోతలు మాతలుతుంటే ఎటలని బరువులు మోసి చేతులు నొప్పి పెడుతుంటే మాదికి దొరసాని రోకాలి పోతలు మాతలుతుంటే అయ్యా చేసిన అప్పులు వచ్చులు నేను చిక్కుకున్నానే అయ్యా చేసిన అప్పులు వచ్చులు నేను చిక్కుకున్నానే ఆ వడ్డీని కట్టకంటే ఎక్కువ కష్టం చేశానే నేను కష్టం చేశానే నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్ని నానయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్ని నానయ్యో నా చిట్టి చేతులు చక్కని రాతలు నేర్వలదయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్ని నానయ్యో నా సంకన మెడితో సాలిరు వాళ్ళు దున్ని నానయ్యో.
Now request your attention for a short period of time in an engaging talk on health and well-being. Mohammad Musab Nawaz will now give a TED speech to spread awareness about the same.
Good morning everyone. My name is Mohammad Musab Nawaz. As we all know, the most pressing issue in the world today is poverty, and one of its main causes is lack of well-being. You must be wondering why so. To explain it further, I'm going to narrate an incident which happened with me. One day, while going somewhere, I got stuck at a traffic signal. A weak, tired, dirty, and sick beggar approached my cab's driver and started asking for money. My cab's driver, with a gloomy face and a frown, shouted at him, "You are old enough, then why do you beg? Why don't you do some work and earn?" The beggar replied, "Do you think I'm strong enough to do any kind of work? Who will give a job to a weak and tired man?" His reply struck my mind like an arrow. I wondered if that man was healthy enough he could work and earn money. It's a cycle. A poor man cannot buy good food in terms of quality and quantity, which makes him malnourished, and which again he is not able to do work and earn. That makes him poor. So we have to break this cycle. Hence, if food is provided to these people, they can too become healthy and strong enough to work. So to come up with this goal, to achieve this goal, I came up with an idea of nutrition charity. Instead of giving 5 to 10 rupees to a beggar, especially children, you should give them some low-cost nutrition like chane with jaggery and sugarcane juice and etc. One more advantage of this thing is it will help a lot to do with child trafficking. Hence, for at last, I would say that giving is not just making about a charity, it's about making a difference. Hence, giving charity is good, but preventing poverty by food is the best thing. Thank you all.
Hindi is an ancient language that had a tremendous impact on world history and continues to have the same today. It has many different variants from north to south or from east to west in India. Using language as a medium of expression, students will now perform a tableau to spread awareness on perceptual narrowing of discrimination.
सब जन में एक बीज से सबकी मिट्टी एक मन में दुविधा पड़ गई हो गए रूप अनेक हो गए रूप अनेक
quite touching. I hope this message stays with us until all of humanity is treated justly. Tabinda Junaid Ziai will now give a TED speech to spread awareness on the importance of peace and justice in the world.
Good morning to one and all. My name is Tabinda Fatima, and today I would like to shed light on the importance of peace and justice in curbing poverty. Now, as you all know that there have been a lot of wars happening, such as the Vietnam War that happened in 1965, the war in Syria that happened in 2011, and many more. There are still many wars happening in many countries around the world, such as in Nigeria, Algeria, Libya, Yemen, and more. Now, you might be thinking that there has to be some people who are trying to stop these wars. Well, yes, there are many activists who are trying to stop these wars. They spread peace around the world in many different ways, such as in giving speeches, creating associations, leading marches, and much more. Let us see what David Hogg did to spread peace around the world. David Miles Hogg was born on April 12, 2000, and he is an American gun control activist. He has led several high-profile protests, marches, and boycotts, including the boycott of the Ingraham Angle. Just like David Hogg, 19-year-old Payal Jangir, who is a female children's rights activist and is against child marriage and is also fighting for children's right to education. Now, the biggest world war was World War II. You might be asking, what happened in the World War II? You all might have heard about Anne Frank. Well, her family were forced to leave their country, Germany, in World War II and had to live underground for 2 whole years. Anne Frank had a small red diary with white stripes on it, in which she wrote all about her feelings, such as her fears, frustrations, and desires. In the end, Anne Frank didn't survive, but her family did, and they published her diary in 1947. Everybody who read her diary found out about her life experiences. Now, let us see a few points on how to spread peace and justice around the world. First, for spreading peace around the world, we can give our part of food to hungry and poor people. And for spreading justice, we should stop inequality, discrimination, etc. Thus, by spreading the message of peace and giving justice to all, we'll create the world a better place to live in. Thank you.
Let's now sit back and ponder upon this qawwali on the most pressing evil in our society, poverty. The lyrics of this qawwali has been written by our very own Urdu teacher, Miss Saima.
कोई तो करे,
कोई तो करे, कोई तो करे,
कोई 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 तो करे गुर्बत हमारी दूर, कोई तो करे गुर्बत हमारी दूर।
निकालो तुम, निकालो तुम, निकालो तुम, निकालो 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 तुम दुनिया में ऐसा भी कोई दस्तूर, निकालो तुम दुनिया में ऐसा भी कोई दस्तूर।
हम बेआसरा है भूखे पेट है,
हम बेआसरा है भूखे पेट है,
जेब खाली तुम्हारी जूती टूटी सारी, जेब खाली तुम्हारी जूती टूटी है सारी।
बेकस बीमार है हम, देखो बेजान है हम,
बेकस बीमार है हम, देखो बेजान है हम। तुम ही तो हो निराले अस्पतालों की शान सारे, तुम ही तो हो निराले अस्पतालों की शान सारे।
कोई तो करे गुर्बत हमारी दूर, कोई तो करे गुर्बत हमारी दूर।
निकालो तुम दुनिया में ऐसा
हमारी दूर।
निकालो तुम दुनिया में ऐसा भी कोई दस्तूर। निकालो तुम दुनिया में ऐसा भी कोई दस्तूर।
हम गरीब है क्या बदनसीब है,
हम गरीब है क्या बदनसीब है। तुम गरीब हो खुद के रकीब हो। तुम गरीब हो खुद के रकीब हो।
बोलो जरा तुम ही कैसे खुश नसीब हो,
बोलो
जरा तुम ही कैसे खुश नसीब हो।
कर लो हज़म के तुम खुद कफील हो। कर लो हज़म के तुम खुद कफील हो।
कोशिश करो यही ना तुम फकीर हो,
कोशिश करो यही ना तुम फकीर हो।
हाँ हाँ हम ही करेंगे गुर्बत हमारी दूर।
हाँ हाँ हम ही करेंगे गुर्बत हमारी दूर। कोई नहीं बैठा सेठ जो करे मजबूर,
कोई नहीं बैठा सेठ जो करे मजबूर।
बदलो बदलो जमाने का ये दस्तूर। मिलकर दूर करेंगे गुर्बत का फतूर। बदलो बदलो जमाने का ये दस्तूर। मिलकर दूर करेंगे गुर्बत का फतूर। I now request our Vice Principal and PYP Coordinator, Ms. Shahrbanu Fati, to address the gathering.
Good morning and Assalamu alaikum to all of you all present here. Our principal, Mr. Minaj Arastu, the school leaders, respected parents, and my dear colleagues. I warmly welcome you and thank you for the precious time that we've taken out. The PYP exhibition is a culminating journey for class 5, wherein students showcase their learning of the PYP. This year's exhibition has been unique in the sense that we had a blended mode. Students learned both online and offline and prepared themselves for the exhibition. The students started working right from October 2021. The students also had showcased their voice, choice and action during the exhibition journey. Students were involved in a self-initiated inquiry into social or environmental issues of interest, and in small groups they researched and decided on the action to be taken. Students decided to work on a central concept of poverty, which further branched out into 6 other issues like child labor, peace and justice, zero hunger, discrimination, good health and well-being, and overpopulation. During the inquiry process, students gathered information from different primary and secondary sources, such as guest lecture, interview, books, internet, and newspaper. Small acts, big impact aptly describe the action taken by the students as a result of their learning. Students initiated a no hunger drive where they served food to the needy, and they plan to continue this initiative through our Ek Muthi Anaj Ki drive, wherein all the students and focus school staff will pull in 1 cup of rice every month and distribute it to our support staff. Students also educated the support staff on gender discrimination and why education is important for girl child. And finally, the small feet took to road and did a rally to eradicate child labor and bring about peace and justice in the world. Besides these wonderfully crafted action, students developed several skills during the exhibition. During your visit to the different learning centers, you will witness the 4 C's: critical thinking, collaboration, communication, and creativity, which are marked as essential skills for the 21st century. Today, you will witness how students worked independently with little support from their mentors and took ownership of their learning and presentation. Finally, I wish to thank our principal, Mr. Minhaj Arastu, for his continuous guidance and valuable advice, my team for mentoring, guiding, and supporting students in the exhibition journey, the admin and the support staff for behind-the-scene effort, and of course, my students for the relentless effort of putting up a fantastic show. I hope you will have a great time moving around the learning centers as you witness some amazing student work, and I also wish my students a very best for today's presentation. I would now request Mr. Minhaj Arastu to cut the ribbon, and the parents can go down on the 3rd floor to witness the students' learning. Thank you very much once again for your precious time.